Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and Pokemon fans of the world, MegaCrashers here, and I want to present you guys with a follow-up video from my last Smogon video, which Smogon had announced the suspect test of Hydreigon in the underused tier. Now, for the purpose of the last video was specifically just to announce it and spark up some pre-discussion for a video like this, being my follow-up video, which is going to contain an in-depth discussion about Hydreigon and as to whether or not it should or should not be banned from underused. Now, with the video like this is going to contain some of my opinions, so please take what I say with a pinch of salt. If you agree or disagree with what I say, then please feel free to let me know in the comment section down below. So with that being said, let's go ahead and proceed to the first part of the video. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so the first part of the video, we're going to be going over the basics of Hydreigon, that being its typing, abilities, and stats. Now, the typing that it has is Dark and Dragon, which if we highlight here, you see that it has quite the unique amount of resistances. It is immune to Psychic, first of all, because of its partial Dark typing, which is very, very amazing, and it also has resistances to the likes of Electric, Dark, Fire, Ghost, Grass, and Water. Now, that right there is a nice handful of resistances. However, with a typing like this, it is going to have its flaws, such as with what it is weak to. It's weak to the likes of Bug, Dragon, Fighting, Ice, and has a 4 times weakness to Fairy-type moves, which is pretty damn scary, considering that you have a lot of Fairy-type Pokemon that are very, very well used in the underused tier, such as Sylveon, which recently got dropped from OU to underused, Florigis, Aromatisse, Slurpuff, I mean, the list goes on. And this Pokemon is very, very exposed when it comes to Fairy-type Pokemon. Now, let's move on to the abilities. Its one and only ability it gets is known as Levitate, and Levitate actually gives you another immunity because this prevents Ground-type moves from taking effect. So that means Earthquake, Earth Power, not a chance. It is not going to happen. So essentially, with the combination of its typing and its ability, it has 2 immunities. So this Pokemon can find ample opportunity to be able to switch in and take a hit and threaten the Pokemon out or set up or work its magic in some way, shape, and form. Now, if we take a look at the stats, you can see right here that it doesn't really have any bad stats. I mean, we take a look at the HP. It's at a very well-respectable base 92, along with its 90 defense and 90 special defense. So this Pokemon can definitely take some hits when you absolutely need it to in any situation. You take a look at the attack. It is at a very respectable base 105, opening up a really good opportunity to use this attack and take advantage of the likes of Crunch, Outrage, Superpower, Earthquake, U-Turn, the list goes on. But the base 125 special attack is what is going to be the selling point the most, because you have so many moves to take advantage of. Dragon Pulse, Draco Meteor, Dark Pulse, Fire Blast, Focus Blast, Earth Power, Surf, the list goes on, Flash Cannon. And with the base 98 speed, it runs just 2 speed points short of the average speed tier of base 100, but do not mistaken that as a bad thing, because base 98 speed is actually very good, and it's good because it's a unique speed number that is special to Hydreigon and Hydreigon only. So, with that being out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at the sets that Hydreigon can utilize. Okay, so with this first set that we got going on here is going to be pretty much the bread and butter of the use of Hydreigon, because having a wall breaker set like this is going to make this thing extremely scary to switch into. So let's go ahead and go over the moves. So first off, we got Draco Meteor. Draco Meteor is a very powerful base 130 dragon type move that is a special attack and definitely can be taken advantage of the fact of its base 125 special attack, and coupled with the item Life Orb, it is going to be very dangerous. Life Orb increases the power of your moves by 30% at the cost of 10% of your health. So this definitely makes this set and this Pokemon just that much more dangerous of a wall breaker. However, there is a drawback with that using that move. You lower your special attack by 2 stages, so you need to use this move sparingly. The next move that we have Dark Pulse, which complements its Dark type stab that hits relatively hard and has a nice 20% chance to flinch your opponents. And that's pretty good. Now, the next move slot, it's really up to you, and it's also dependent on the nature that you use for this Pokemon. If you go with a timid nature, which lowers the attack and increases the speed, you're going to want to go with Fire Blast. However, if you go with a hasty nature, which lowers the defense but increases the speed, notice it doesn't lower the attack, so this actually gives you a fairly solid opportunity to be using moves like Superpower, which is making this Pokemon a very lethal mixed attacker, and this is actually how I run my Hydreigon, regardless of what tier that I'm playing in, whether it be underused or overused, because I just love the use of Superpower on Hydreigon. It is highly effective, and in my opinion, highly underrated, because you take care of the likes of, well, the blobs, for one. I mean, Blissey in underuse is annoying as shit to deal with, so with the combination of Superpower and Life Orb, you're going to be doing a lot of serious damage to it because of its really weak defensive stat and the fact that it's also weak to fighting type moves as well. Now, the last move slot is really up to you. We have Roost as an option, which allows for you to stay healthy for the majority of the battle whenever Hydreigon is able to. Not to mention, it also mitigates the negative effects of Life Orb. So when you're worn down, you can use Roost and be able to tank any resisted hit and keep on going with using Hydreigon in the battle. However, if that isn't enough, we do have Iron Tail as an option, which is really good Fairy type coverage. It is a Steel type move. However, it does have a drawback with 75% accuracy, so it can miss sometimes. And something I want to mention there real quick is with Superpower, it also has a drawback to lower your defense and attack by 1 stage. So with these moves right here, does come with its risks, but the rewards are high as well. Now, the thing with Iron Tail is that I find it to be a very, I don't want to say an unusual move, but I feel like that with Iron Tail, it's a very specific move. I mean, you are specifically going out of your way to try and counter Fairy-type Pokemon, which, with Iron Tail lacking Stab, and of course you do have Life Orb to boost the power of Iron Tail, but with Iron Tail not being Stab, you potentially could be in trouble if you fail to one-shot a Fairy-type Pokemon such as Sylveon, Aromatisse, Slurpuff, and they could knock you out with one Fairy-type move, and that's it. Now, that right there is, of course, going to come with having Hydreigon to begin with. You are always going to be threatened out by Fairy-type Pokemon, but having access to the likes of Iron Tail and Flash Cannon as well does in fact have really good merits, because this allows for Hydreigon in any dire situation, 1 vs 1, to have some sort of offense against Fairy-type Pokemon. So if we go ahead and move on to the next set here, we have a Choice Scarf set. Now, Choice Scarf locks you into one move, but boosts the speed of the Pokemon by 1 stage, making Hydreigon a very good candidate for Choice Scarf users. So this moveset here is going to be very similar to the first set here, but this set is going to be a little more straightforward. It's more or less hit and run, you know, hit strong, and then get the hell out of the field so that your replacement Pokemon can take over. Especially if you use the first move, that being Draco Meteor. Really, all it takes is 1 Draco Meteor to scare this thing out, because the thing of it is that with Draco Meteor, you lower your special attack by 2 stages, and then it's like any Pokemon that switch in, or the Pokemon that you hit, if you manage to not take it out, well, you kind of end up being screwed, and if the opponent predicts you're switching out, they can actually take advantage of that and do something to set up or do something that could otherwise be detrimental to whether or not you win or lose the game. The next move that we have is going to be Dark Pulse, and these two moves are pretty much of the same purpose as the first set. It's really good, hard-hitting stabs, and with Dark Pulse, you have a 20% chance to flinch. With Draco Meteor, you have a chance, well actually there is no chance, you 100% of the time drop your special attack by 2 stages. So there's pros and cons with using Draco Meteor. Now the third move slot is between Fire Blast and Dragon Pulse. Fire Blast so that you can take care of the likes of Steel types, and with Dragon Pulse, you actually end up using a less powerful Dragon type move, but it has 0 drawbacks. So it's really up to you. Do you want more coverage, or do you want more dependability when it comes to your stabs? And the last move that we have is going to be U-Turn. And U-Turn is a move that's mostly meant for scouting, and it's also a really good move to build around a team. Like, say if you have a U-Turn spam combo, or if you have like a U-Turn Volt switch core going on, like say with Rotom Heat and Hydreigon, that's also a really good way to use U-Turn. And U-Turn also gives you momentum too, because while you're doing chip damage, you switch out and you switch into a Pokemon that can safely handle the Pokemon that you otherwise U-Turned out on. Now, this set right here has its flaws and has its limitations, such as, for example, just the very item by itself, Choice Scarf. You are locked into one move, so if you are locked into Draco Meteor, or if you're locked into Dark Pulse, you're locked into the wrong move, then the opponent can predict your switch out and use that to threaten your chances of winning that battle. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the next set, that being a Stall Breaker set. Now, this is a set that I don't see too often in gameplay, but it's definitely not unusual for Hydreigon to be running a set like this, because this is a very good set in the fact that it provides the surprise factor, because, you know, there's people that don't expect a stall breaking set, but when it happens, it's like, oh my god, okay, well, what the hell do I do now? Like, what the hell? Like, I just got stall broken, I got taunted, like, what can I do? So, with this set right here, you have Taunt as being the coup de grace of this set. That is the entire reason why this is a stall breaking set, because of Taunt. And what Taunt does is it locks your opponent into using attacking moves only. They can't set up anything, they can't status you, they can't do anything of the sort. All they can do is attack you, and that can screw up some stall-based teams. Now, the next move that we have is going to be Roost, and Roost heals 50% of your maximum health in order to keep you alive and keep you around as long as you can in battle. The next move that we have is going to be Dark Pulse, and Dark Pulse is a very dependable and very reliant Dark type stab, not to mention with a benefit of a very nice 20% chance to flinch your opponents. And the last move is a toss-up between Dragon Pulse, Fire Blast, and Draco Meteor. You want Dragon Pulse for the dependability and for the stab also. However, there is Fire Blast for Steel type coverage, which would otherwise cause you problems. And there's also Draco Meteor, which just hits hard right away. And the thing of it is that you can use Draco Meteor, and despite the fact that it lowers your special attack by 2 stages, with a set like this, that doesn't automatically mean that you have to switch out, because from there, you can use something like Taunt to shut down opposing setup. You can use Roost to heal up. I mean, like, with the use of Draco Meteor in this set is not as detrimental as it would be in other offensive sets, whereas a set like this is meant to be more of a, you know, it's like an offensive / defensive role, because with the EV spread right here, you're using max special attack and max speed, basically. And with the item of choice, you can use Life Orb to boost the power of your moves by 30% at the cost of 10% of your health. But you can also use Leftovers to not only have any recoil, but also heal 1/16 of your HP at the end of each turn. Now, I would personally go for Leftovers for a set like this, because the way I see it is that every little bit counts. And I don't mean that just offensively, but defensively too. And with a set like this that's more defensive oriented, you're gonna want to go for Leftovers, because you almost can't afford to have your health chipped down by using offensive moves. I mean, you can as a nice little twist, but I feel like that by the use of Life Orb, you're kind of going against a little bit of the purpose of this set right here. And I say a little bit because I am open-minded to the possibility that Life Orb is a thing in this set. I'm not bashing it whatsoever, but my preference would be Leftovers. So with that being said, let's go ahead and see if there's any other sets, and I guess not. So we're at the checks and counters of Hydreigon here. And the first counter that we got, Porygon 2. No combination of Hydreigon's moves 2-hit KO, especially defensive Porygon 2, and Ice Beam and Tri-Attack allow Porygon 2 to beat taunt sets. So Porygon 2 is the go-to Pokemon when it comes to wanting to counter this thing. However, Fairy types are also a thing that can easily counter and check this thing effectively. Fairy-type Pokemon resist both of Hydreigon's stabs, and Florges and Aromatisse are actually bulky enough to not be threatened by Fire Blast. Only the Wall Breaker set is able to threaten them if they're running Steel-type coverage. Iron Tail hits Florges significantly harder than Flash Cannon, but Flash Cannon is better against Aromatisse and Granbull, and the latter doesn't handle Life Orb boosted Dark Pulse and Fire Blast very well. Sorry, I kind of mixed my words up there. So, if you are lacking Steel-type coverage, then Fairy types screw you over big time. And even still, Steel-type coverage is not always guaranteed to work out, depending on the set that the Fairy-type Pokemon are running, who the Fairy-type Pokemon are second of all, and just overall, like, the dependability of those Steel-type moves. Especially bulky Water-type Pokemon. Vaporeon, Melodic, Suicune can also deal with Wall Breaking and Choice Scarf sets. However, without Ice Beam, they lose to Taunt Hydreigon. Empoleon is similar to the other bulky Water types, but Superpower from the Wall Breaker set can KO it after using any other moves to wear Empoleon down. And faster Pokemon can check this thing, such as the likes of Infernape, other Choice Scarf users, Pokemon like that. So, faster Pokemon. Faster Pokemon can OHKO Pokemon such as Infernape and Salamence. Well, Salamence can be scratched out here because Salamence got banned to BL, which is the ban list between underused and overused. Can easily revenge kill it. However, the Choice Scarf set is faster than everything but the other Choice Scarf users. So, with that being said, with all of this being out of the way, I'm going to take you now to Pokemon Showdown and show you the list of Pokemon that I have come up with that can easily check and counter this thing. So please stay tuned for the next part of the video. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so what I have here is a list of Pokemon in the underused tier that can effectively check and counter Hydreigon in a 1-vs-1 situation. Now, I also would like to point out that these are only just 6 out of many more Pokemon in the underused tier that can counter and check Hydreigon pretty effectively. And the first Pokemon that comes to mind is Blissey. That's really all I gotta say. Like, Blissey is the wall to go to in underused. This thing does not die. This thing will take special hits for days. So that means that any specially offensive sets of Hydreigon is completely screwed over by Blissey, because the thing can just keep taking hits and taking hits and taking hits and taking hits and just wear you down with Seismic Toss. Now, this thing does have to watch out for Superpower, but other than that, Blissey isn't even really all that threatened by Hydreigon, and Superpower does weaken your attack stat, which means that Blissey will be able to progressively take more and more physical hits if it was 1-vs-1 against Hydreigon, and Hydreigon stayed in after the use of Superpower. Now, we take a look at the next Pokemon. We have Vaporeon, and we have a pretty unique mixed defensive set right here. And this is actually a set that is suggested by Smogon. And a set like this allows for you to take a multitude of hits, both physically and specially. So that means that Hydreigon's Draco Meteors are not going to be taking this thing out, because the thing can just essentially Wish Protect stall you and get its health back while wearing down your stats, and it can wear you down with Scald, maybe Chance of Burn, all that stuff. However, with a set like this, you are kind of limited to the likes of the Taunt sets, because you can't exactly heal up. But if the Hydreigon doesn't carry the likes of Taunt, you're pretty safe and good to go. And you can wear it down, especially after it gets burned. Now, the next Pokemon is more of a shaky check, or not shaky check, sorry, shaky counter, but a very effective check. And what I mean by shaky counter is that this thing does not appreciate taking repeated hits from Hydreigon. However, it can take a Draco Meteor and then threaten it out with a very powerful fighting type stab. So we have Assault Vest here, which patches up its rather mediocre 65 base special defense and boosts it by 50%. And coupled with the fact that it has Guts, meaning that this thing can become even more scary offensively if it is burned, if it's paralyzed, if it's poisoned. So that means that Hydreigon, 1-vs-1 against Conkeldurr, unless Conkeldurr is weakened or doesn't have Mach Punch, there's pretty much no chance in hell that Hydreigon is going to be able to 1v1 Conch Elder. I mean, Conch Elder is a solid fighting type Pokemon, and I am very surprised that this thing is in underused, because this thing is very, very scary. I mean, Drain Punch, Mach Punch, boom. Like, that's it. So we take a look at the next Pokemon being Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz, in a special defensive form, can stomach Draco Meteors from the likes of Hydreigon and continue to roost up and stall out, whether it is stalling out its PP or stalling out the stats. And you could essentially really annoy and 1v1 Hydreigon if you really want to go down to a very hardcore stallish stalemate. Now, this thing can also use Toxic, which, if Hydreigon lacks the substitute, which is a move that isn't very common on the likes of Hydreigon, but don't discount the fact that it could in fact carry substitute. But if it doesn't carry substitute and Mandibuzz carries Toxic, which is actually a move suggested by this set, then Hydreigon is not going to be able to 1v1 Mandibuzz, as it will be stalled out with Toxic and with Roost turns. So we take a look at the next Pokemon being Porygon 2. Porygon 2, like Blissey, is another go-to wall that blanket counters and checks a lot of Pokemon in the underused tier. I mean, this thing will take Draco Meteor superpowers for days, and it can take it out with Ice Beam. And that's pretty much it. That's all she wrote there. I mean, Porygon 2 is a very amazing Pokemon, especially with Eviolite, which boosts defense and special defense by 50% if you're not fully evolved, and Porygon 2 is not a fully evolved Pokemon. Coming in on the list, we have Snorlax. Snorlax with an Assault Vest variant means that this thing will be able to take Draco Meteors, Dark Pulses, Fire Blast for days. And I mean, this thing just hammers down Hydreigon with max attack and max special defense with an Assault Vest. I mean, with an Assault Vest boosting its maxed out 110 special defense, you're hitting almost 480 in the special defense. We're going with an adamant nature, not a careful nature, because we want to be as offensively powerful as possible when it comes to the use of Snorlax and this set, because Return with Stab is going to clobber Hydreigon 2-3 KO it, depending on the EV spread of Hydreigon, and it's going to lose 1v1 against Snorlax unless it carries Superpower. And even still, you're not going to be able to take out Snorlax with Superpower because it's not Stab, and you're not maxing out your attack. I mean, you have Life Orb to boost the power of Superpower, but you don't have really any attack investment to really make use of chancing Snorlax being KO'd by Superpower. And even still, the Superpower is going to drop the attack and attack and defense, which means that Snorlax is likely to do more damage to you with its Stab Return. And if it's statused, Facade, which doubles the power of the move if you are poisoned, burned, paralyzed. Like, it's crazy. It's base 70 power, but gets doubled to base 140 power if you are statused. So, yeah, I mean, the rest is kind of history right there. So if we go ahead and we take a look at some of the other Pokemon that can, in fact, counter the likes of Hydreigon. Now, Fairy-type Pokemon by default check and counter this Pokemon effectively, but let's take a look at other Pokemon that are as good, if not better, than the Pokemon I've suggested when it comes to checking and countering this thing. So we take a look at Mega Blastoise here. I mean, Mega Blastoise is a really, really solid Water-type Pokemon, and you can max out its special defense and its HP and give it something like Aura Sphere. Like, let's go ahead and take a look at Blastoise here. Let's go to his page while it's loading here. So we go and scroll down here. So we have ourselves an offensive spinner. We have Dragon Pulse, Aura Sphere. So if you elected to use Dragon Pulse on a set for Mega Blastoise, thanks to Mega Launcher, you are going to one-shot Hydreigon. There's no doubt about it. But let's go ahead and take a look. Yes, see, we take a look at all an attacker set, but let's look for a more defensive set here. So we have a defensive spinner. Okay, so it doesn't have any. Okay, wait, that's regular Blastoise, not Mega Blastoise. My bad. But I'm just saying, it's like, with any bulky variants of Mega Blastoise that has the use of Dragon Pulse can one-shot the thing thanks to Mega Launcher, which boosts the power of Dragon Pulse by 50%. And other launcher moves too, such as Dark Pulse, such as Aura Sphere, Water Pulse, you know, things like that. Another Pokemon to have in mind, let's see who else we got going on here. Let us see. So, I already ruled out Fairy-type Pokemon because they're, by default, a really solid counter to Hydreigon. We could go for, like, a specially defensive Gligar with Eviolite. Like, how could that work out? I never tried that before, but, you know, like, I could have come onto something. Like, Gligar could be a really good counter, or at least a shaky counter as far as taking hits goes. I mean, the thing with Eviolite and with max special defense could stomach the likes of Draco Meteor and Dark Pulse from Hydreigon, but maybe I could be completely wrong about that. So let's go ahead and see what else we got going on here. So let's see. Yeah, we got. Oh, sorry about that. Oh my God, sorry about that. My keyboard kind of locked on me there. Let's scroll back up here. So we have ourselves Milotic up here. What else we got going on here? We have ourselves Suicune. I'd like to think that Umbreon is also a really good Pokemon to counter the likes of Hydreigon, because take a look at those stats. Those stats are extremely beefy. 95 HP, 110 defense, 130 special defense. I mean, need I say more about that? Draco Meteors are a cakewalk for this thing. Same with Vaporeon. Vaporeon is crazy good. But Umbreon is also crazy good because it can take hits from Hydreigon. Of course, you do have to worry about Superpower being super effective against Umbreon. But if you max out your defense, or if you come close to it, like say if you have, I don't know, we'll say max HP and maybe, well, let's select a nature here. So if we go for, say, a bold nature, you could run a, let me see, let's see, a really good optimal, so like 176 on the defense and like maybe 80 on special defense. Like, you take a look at those numbers right there. They're actually really, really solid. And you also factor in the move set that it can use, you know, Wish, Protect, Foul Play, Toxic, Heal Bell, things like that, right? So, there you go. That's pretty much all I got to say about that. Hopefully I didn't miss anything out. If I did, let me know in the comment section down below. So, with all that being said, I now present you guys with the verdict. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so after almost a half hour being into this video, I'd like to apologize first off for the length of it. I didn't intend for it to be this long, but when you have a Pokemon that isn't exactly linear, but also a Pokemon that has a lot of counters and checks to go over, it can make for a pretty lengthy video and pretty lengthy discussion. So, with all of that being said, my verdict is simple and straightforward. No ban. Because here's the thing. Hydreigon has been in the underused tier since pretty much the beginning of Pokemon X and Y. I mean, this Pokemon has been in the underused tier for the better part of 2, almost 3 years. I mean, it's been in the X and Y UU metagame for as long as I can remember. I mean, I didn't really get into playing competitive until like early 2014, so I could be wrong there. Let me know if I am. But especially in Auras, in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire underused, the thing has remained as a staple in the underused tier. Now, you could say that Hydreigon is a lot like Landorus Therian for OU when it comes to dependability, because Hydreigon is a very splashable Pokemon. You can throw it pretty much on any team, whether it's offensive, defensive, stall, things like that. But because of the fact that Hydreigon has been in underuse for so long, and only now it's being suspected, I'm thinking that the reason why it's being suspected is because of a reverse power creep, because we recently banned Salamence from underused, so I'm thinking that because Salamence got banned, which otherwise outclassed Hydreigon in terms of speed, offensive prowess, things like that, people are looking to Hydreigon as being now the dominant force in the underused tier, and they're looking to have it suspected, and hopefully it doesn't get banned. I mean, I think it would be, no offense to Smogon, you know, I love you guys are a great fucking community, you know, I pride myself on being the T-Rex of the Smogon community, but I'll be real with you guys, I don't always agree with you guys, and I gotta say that this decision right here to suspect test it, I mean, I might be a little bit harsh when I say I disagree with it, because, you know, it could be as innocent as a suspect test, and for all we know, it could not be banned. But what if it does get banned? We just banned a Pokemon for pretty much no reason, okay? Because while this Pokemon is powerful, while this Pokemon is scary, not just by looks, but by the way it performs in battle, you gotta understand that because Hydreigon has been in underuse for such a long time, this Pokemon does not need to be banned from underused. And not to mention only that, but you also have Pokemon that have been brought down from OU to be placed in underuse, such as Sylveon, such as Conkeldurr, which handle Hydreigon, especially Sylveon. Like, Sylveon blasts that thing away with one Hyper Voice, and that's it. You know what I mean? So, anyways, that's really all I gotta say. You know, take it what you will. You know, I could be completely wrong and just be shitting a bunch of stuff out of my ass for all I know. But, you know, let me know respectfully. Do you guys agree? Do you guys disagree? And that's pretty much all I gotta say. So, thank you guys very much for watching this rather long video. If you stuck with me all this far, then you guys are amazing. You guys are always amazing, whether you stick through the whole video or not. But I'm just saying, like, especially if you watched up until this point, you guys are MVP. So with that being said, thank you very much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure you fire off a like. Let's see if we can aim for a modest 15 likes, and if you want more content like this, make sure you rate, comment, share this channel, share this video, and subscribe today to MegaCrasher in the community for the best, and I mean, my god, the best Pokemon Sun and Moon news hype that there is today on YouTube, and just overall the best hype and entertainment that you can find when it comes to Pokemon content, Pokemon channels, Pokemon communities, Pokemon everything, baby, because you already know the deal by now, my friends. When we're community type packing is one, you know that we shine brighter than the sun and the moon combined. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next upload!